The two things I regret most in ministry. I was not too wise a number of times with prophecy. Number one, I had guests come to the crusades that I think brought harm to not only people's lives, but also to my reputation, because their prophecies were not really prophecy. They went outside the borders of redemption, because anything that's outside redemption is not prophecy. We know, of course, that prophecy is for edification, exhortation, and comfort, but it must be within redemption. And when people come who go beyond that, we should not allow that. And sadly, I allowed it, and then I stopped. But that was years ago when I stopped. And then there were times when I thought God had showed me something that He wasn't showing me, and I spoke it out. But in 1 Corinthians 13, we see very clearly that we all prophesy in part. That means we don't see the full picture. And sadly, and I wish I can go back and fix it, but sadly, there were some prophecies I gave that were not accurate or from the Lord, but who's perfect? And for that, of course, I ask people to forgive me. I'm just human and made mistakes like that. And I'll probably make them again, I suppose, down the road, because I'm not perfect. We will be perfect one day when we're with the Lord. As long as we're in this body that's imperfect, we're not going to make perfect decisions and even say the things we need to say or should say. But, it's sad when people focus on the times you missed it. But that's just, the way it is. Yet there were times when I did not miss it. And then the other one is prosperity. And that's been a very difficult one for me. When I started in ministry, it was simple. And then the ministry grew. I was invited to go to what they called praise-a-thons. And I think that's when my troubles began. I don't blame anyone, but sadly, you get kind of in a place that becomes difficult. You don't know what to do and how to get out of it. So I came to the conclusion in 2019 that I did not want to be a part of the gimmickry of it. And I still stand by that. But sadly, I let pressure get to me, and because of that pressure, I said things and did things I should not have done. And for that, really, I am sorry. And I ask the dear people watching us to really forgive me for that. And I'm striving with all my heart to be as biblical as possible with that. And frankly, I'm kind of at the end of my road anyways. I don't see myself needing to do a whole lot of that down the road. But right now, my focus is the Lord and only the Lord. And if, of course, there will be the time when I may have to raise funds for our ministry, I will do it as biblically as I know how and balanced.
Can you explain that a little more?
I want that teaching to be about Jesus and only Jesus and the gospel, because the heart of prosperity has to be the gospel, true biblical prosperity. And that is what I will do and strive to do for the rest of my life. That's it.
Now, getting back to what we were talking about a minute ago, I asked you about regrets. But let's suppose you could go back and give advice to an 18-year-old Benny Hinn about what you were going to expect later in life to avoid some of these regrets. And I believe that your advice would really apply to any 18-year-old just starting out in their adult life in whatever ministry God's called them to.
Well, I would say three things. Number one, build a reservoir of the Word of God in your heart, so when the troubles come, you know where to go. Number two, cling to the Lord with all your might, and only the Word within your heart can help you cling to the Lord. And number three, stay with your call. And the reason that's important is because anything outside the call is sin. Remember, King Uzziah, was called to be a king, and one day wanted to be a priest, and he became a leper. Leprosy is symbolic of sin in the Bible. Look what happened to Saul, and so on. So the most important thing that any young 18-year-old can really do is know the mind of God, know the counsel of God.
Well, hello guys, welcome to the show once again, and we are very happy to have you one more time. And for those of you who have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly do that, because that helps us a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you guys. So, just hearing what this popular man of God has said, it makes me wonder why people still believe in them, and why people will still come out and attack those who are trying to expose the lies and the deceitfulness of some men of God. It's so confusing for me to see that people who are trying to say, hey, these men of God, some of them at least, are not as truthful as they might pretend to be. That some of them are just looking out for themselves. That some of them really do not care about their Christians nor the Bible. That some of them have only preached what has helped them rip off the people. Because at the end of the day, all they do is collect from the people. The amount of wealth they have collected from the people is so vast that it will make your head spin if you were to start calculating it. And every now and then, you will see people like Benny Hinn come out here to say they are sorry for what they've said, to say they are sorry for some of the things they've done, and that people should forgive them, and that they are Christians should forgive them. And after all, they are but humans. That is what they will say. And then they will go back and continue in the same footstep. You look at them, you realize that they said they were sorry for something, but they wouldn't change their ways. And the thing that gets me angry sometimes, and also sad at the same time, is that their Christians are willing to forgive and forget, and they will not hold their man of God accountable for the things he has said and done. And even when you try to point out to other Christians in different denominations that, look at what Benny Hinn has said, just listen to what he has said and the apologies he has issued. So you should be careful. Those same people whom you are trying to help will be the first people to come attacking you, will be the first people to go out there protecting their daddy, will be the first people to be out there saying that you have no idea of what you are talking about. They'll be the first people to say that give your life to Christ and that you need to be saved by the Lord, because what you have been saying is a rubbish of the Lord. You are rubbishing the Lord, and the Lord will not take kindness to that. I have always said, and I will keep on saying, believe in God if it's good for you. Help people if you have more than enough, and if you are doing it for the right purpose. But do not always listen and take to heart every single thing your man of God told you. Because more too often, what they preach in church is a narrative of what they want people to think of them and the church, and the image they are trying to portray. One person whom I personally admire the way he has put all this. Not that it's the right thing to do, but I admire him for his skillfulness in selling his message. And that person is Apostle John Suleiman. He is very, very good at selling a narrative that protects him and his fellow cronies. He is very good at that. He will tell us not to criticize a man of God, not to go against a man of God, not to challenge things that they have no idea about, to respect religious people, to not speak out when others are criticizing men of God. And remember, the quote-unquote men of God includes him, right? So in other ways, he is also protecting himself, and he is telling his Christians not to criticize him. You get the point, right? So he is very smart at that. He is so gifted at that. And he plays on the mentality of the people. He does that like all the time. I saw a video of him saying that in order for people to be upright with God, they have to be broken. They have to be broken to a point where they will not have the need, or they will not feel the need to respond to what people were saying about them. And that Christians shouldn't just jump into any conversation. Christians shouldn't just go attacking other people, even if they think that what those people have been doing is not the right thing. That Christians must be very, very reserved. They must be calm. They must be rational. That is what he would tell his Christians. You know, one person who has been very flippant, who has always go after people who have criticized him, that person is no other than Apostle John Suleiman. So I don't know if he's been a hypocrite here, saying that people shouldn't do what he has been doing time and time and time again. So my point is, some men of God have understood we, the commoners, very well, and they have devised a method of playing over us, and they win all the time. They win all the time. So Benny Hinn coming here to apologize for some of the miracles he faked, some of the prophecies he came up with all by himself, shouldn't be something shocking, because that is what we have been saying here all the time, that preachers are coming up with all sorts of miracles that are just so confusing and baffling, because nobody in their right minds would believe what they say. But I guess we do not understand how the Holy Spirit operates, so we cannot really understand men of God. Unlike there are Christians who totally understand them. But you guys out there, let me hear your take on what this powerful man of God, Benny Hinn, said. And do you believe in his apologies? Do you think that he has really, really changed? And if he has realized that some of the things he's done hasn't been the right thing to do, and some of the people he has fooled with the so-called prosperity gospel is a wrong thing to have been done in the first place, why wouldn't he return all the gifts and donations he stole from them? Why wouldn't he? Let us know in the comment section below, because because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, don't forget to like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel, because that helps us a lot, and we shall ever be grateful to you. So thank you for doing just that.